Perfect. My name is Catherine O'Grady Powers, owner of Glen Keen Estate with my husband Jim. We are located here at the gateway to the Connemara region, and it's designated by the European Union as a special area of conservation. Today I'm going to be talking about our visitor attraction, a farm experience that we introduced in 2014. So I'm going to start by playing a video for you that will give you a snapshot of what we offer at Glen Keen Farm and visitor attraction.
Greetings, my name is Catherine O'Grady Powers and welcome to our home at Glen Keen Estate on the Wild Atlantic Way on the west coast of Ireland.
My name is Jim Powers. We moved over here in 1999-2000. It's been quite a journey, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the experiences that we have to show you.
Actually, the buildings you see in the background stem back with my own ancestors to the 1600s. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this week we're showing you a historical map showing the cluster villages at Glen Keen before the impact of the Great Irish Famine and the evictions of 1847. Now, the Glen Keen estate is steeped in history dating right back thousands of years, and the landscape here still retains the ecology of the Ice Age and the tangible assets of Bronze Age sites, ancient burial grounds and pre-famine tenant farm cabins. These assets have been protected here and preserved over generations, and we are really proud to continue this great work right through to the present day. This is done through our restoration and conservation projects. Glen Keen was one of the most densely populated areas of the Duloc Valley, and here are some stats taken from my cousin and local historian John Lyons, who wrote a book, The History of Louisburg. We are so thankful to John because he has shared his extensive knowledge and research, and this has enabled me to retrace our ancestors' footsteps. And we're so very fortunate that this beautiful landscape is a living museum, folks. It's really a monument to those who have lived here before us. Glen Keen is one of the largest privately owned estates in Europe. It is designated by the European Union as a special area of conservation. Now, Glen Keen, a large estate, comprises of multiple businesses. We added an agri-tourism farm experience back in 2013, and we also have an export business and a working sheep farm business. So after years of planning, we also received a grant from LEADER, the Southwest Mayo Development Company, for the construction of a state-of-the-art tourism facility at Glen Keen. And we opened our doors for business in July 2014, where we sell and promote authentic Irish farm visitor experiences to the international market. Our tourism facility includes a commercial kitchen, large lecture area, dining area, on-site retail shopping experience, and an outdoor demonstration areas for our guests. We're mainly focused on group tourism, and this is the economically sustainable model for our rural tourism business. We have identified that by catering for large group tours, we can maximise the guest experience and minimise operational costs. And we look mainly to international visitor markets. They are seeking out authentic, real Irish activities where they can enjoy an immersive experience, and they really like that connection with local people. Jim and I have invested a lot of time, capital and effort into promoting not just Glen Keen, but indeed the region here as a quality destination for visitors from the international market where they can enjoy authentic Ireland. We're always continuing to improve and invest our on-site facilities here at Glen Keen, and in 2020 we invested in the introduction of 2 pedestrian footbridges. This will really enhance our guest experience and create a historical looped tour of Glen Keen. We were very fortunate and delighted to receive the grant support of the Southwest Mayo Development Leader Company towards the cost of the project. Now, there are great supports available in Ireland for businesses, and we are so grateful. Huge thanks to Mayo Local Enterprise Office, Leader, Mayo County Council, Fáilte Ireland and Tourism Ireland for their wonderful support, especially in the rural development areas. This video presentation includes an introduction to some of our guest experiences here at Glen Keen. We hope you enjoy it, and thank you again for inviting us. Today, you're going to see a snippet of our sheepdog herding experience with our amazing border collie, Jill. Jill is 3.5 years old, dying to strut her stuff, and she's trained on verbal and whistle commands. The verbal command for Jill to go right is go right. Keep left is keep left, and straight on is walk on. So let's see how she does, folks. Come on. Go right. Keep left. Go right. Easy, easy. Go right. Easy, easy, girl. Keep left. Go right. I'm going to use my whistle now. Keep left whistle command is good girl. And our sheepdogs love praise. I want to split the sheep. Come to me, come to me. Walk on, go right, keep left, hey, look back. So training the dog to look back, especially up in the mountain, is a really important trait in case they leave any of the flock behind. Walk on, walk on.
So I hope that you enjoyed that snippet of what we deliver here on the visitor experience at Glen Keen. And I have to say that we have a fantastic team of staff and experience providers that work with us in delivering an amazing experience for our guests. And we're all about the immersive experience, drawing the customer into the actual activity. So it leaves them with a lifelong memory of their visit to Glen Keen and the west of Ireland. This estate stems back to the 1600s with my own ancestors. We're deeply rooted here, and we're the 8th generation. There's multiple businesses under the Glen Keen estate, and as I mentioned, the farm experience is what we're talking about today. We decided to diversify into agri-tourism, and over a number of years planned and built the facility at Glen Keen. And we were very fortunate because it coincided with the launch of the Fáilte Ireland Wild Atlantic Way in 2014. This was a major launch pad for our business, and we're extremely grateful to Fáilte Ireland because this is a global brand, the Wild Atlantic Way. This is a view from one of the windows in our visitor centre here. It's a view of Muilra, the tallest mountain in the region of Connacht. And the guests are always so taken in by the breathtaking, beautiful scenery that surrounds the visitor centre and the history that's etched in our landscape. The fingerprints of humanity are visible throughout the landscape here. One very clear example is the intact potato ridges right through the landscape that really tells the story of the Irish famine. This photograph here, I'm very proud to introduce my grandfather. He's in the front row, second from the right, sitting. The photograph was taken.
Sorry, Catherine, I don't think you're sharing your presentation at the minute. You're still sharing the video.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you for letting me know. So I'm just on this slide here, Colm, the black and white photograph. So it was taken in 1909, and it shows my grandfather sitting.
Sorry, Catherine, we still can't see.
I can't. Okay, sorry. I'll end the slideshow and share again, perhaps. Sorry about this glitch.
No, you're okay.
Here we go. How about now?
Yep, perfect.
Great. I'll just go from the current slide. So, okay, so the Glen Keen estate is steeped in history right through to the 1600s. This photograph was taken in 1909, and the reason I have it in my presentation is we were still under British rule. So my grandfather is sitting in the front row, second from the right. Little did he know, about 13 years after this photo, he would be the owner of the land he's sitting on. He was working at the time for Captain Houston. And this story really resonates with our US market. They really feel a connection to their ancestors and the Irish history, and of course, the whole story and journey of immigration. So it's really important for our social media content and our digital marketing that we can share stories like this with our visitors and connect them with the Irish story. This is the Dulac Valley. Our Glen Keen estate runs right through the Dulac Valley, a valley that's steeped in history and natural beauty carved by the glaciers. It's my favourite place. An aerial view of Glen Keen and the visitor attraction that we built, ensuring that there was ample space for coach tours. And we've put a lot of work into selling to international markets. That is the economically sustainable model for our visitor attraction here. So what we took on Glen Keen, we decided to look at what happens on the estate, what has happened in the past, and current activities, and we packaged those together to promote and sell to international markets. We sell through social media, digital marketing, and attending major trade events where we connect with decision makers and itinerary planners. So I've listed the experiences here, and you would have seen the snippets in the video. The number one is the sheepdog herding experience, and our dogs were very, very busy during the COVID year of 2020 in keeping our customers entertained through digital experiences. Traditional turf cutting, guided historical walks, pre-famine homestead and landscape visits. So we provide a very tactile visitor experience here where visitors can touch and feel the landscape and the assets here. Marketing started early. We opened our facility in 2014, and I started the marketing in late 2012. And this was essential where we were focused on the international markets. The Mehel, the annual Fáilte Ireland Mehel event was pivotal in us gaining our first customer, CIE Tours International. They took a chance on us. We engaged with them both digitally and one-to-one in terms of promoting the visitor experience for their customers. The website, another digital platform of huge importance. We put a lot of work into this, and we have since changed it into an e-commerce site with the support of the Mayo Leo office. Digital training and a platform set up like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that all started in 2013. Huge benefit to us now, especially in the last 2 years. And data harvesting, this is where we collect customer data. So when they visit here, we collect their email addresses with their permission, and that enables us to resell to those customers, and they become ambassadors for Glen Keen, and also an additional achieving more customers for us. And now, the virtual experiences, very important to us, because on March 14th, 2020, we had our one and only group of the year, which was the Boston Police Force. We had 3 coaches of customers in for their visit, their planned itinerary here at Glen Keen. And 2 days later, the business closed and we started receiving cancellations. So we quickly had to change our strategy, look at how we could keep our customer base engaged. And we started talking to our tour operators. We actually started developing videos, weekly videos called Discover Hidden Ireland series, where we weren't just sharing experiences on the farm, but indeed experiences from the west of Ireland. And that was all creating engagement with our digital media platform customers. It was keeping the area fresh in the minds of visitors when they were planning to travel again. And then tour operators started approaching us for customized visitor experiences on a digital scale. So that was a bit daunting. We did live sheep herding experiences for some of our tour operators, but it worked really well. And then we did recorded videos so that they could share it with their own customer base. And that really, we couldn't believe how much new followers that achieved for us, new customer inquiries, repeat customer inquiries. And we have a sheep adoption program where we have an adopt a sheep that customers can purchase. So that really increased sales on that as well. And it really connected us with the international markets, despite COVID and the fact that they weren't here or able to visit yet. We've also expanded into Asia. We've been working with the China market from 2017, and we're now working with an export business into China. So we attended our first virtual trade event in Henan 2 weeks ago. We were virtually there, but we had a stand that was, we had a representative there for us. So that was a real success, where we could connect with the visitors to the stand in a digital presence. Here on the left of my slide, you will see a QR code. So we looked, we've done a lot of research into Asian markets, and we have really looked at what really works in Asia and how can we connect with Asian customers. So the 90% of visitors to the stand connected us using the QR code rather than business cards or other social media platforms. So who lives here? There's Jim, who's an American, and my husband, he's my husband, and my son James and myself. So it's a family operated estate, and we're very fortunate. We have an amazing team. The local community have been a phenomenal support to our business, as indeed the business supports that we have received. Last year, the highlight of the year for us was winning the Innovation on the Farm, the Women in Business and Agricultural Awards. And again, this achieved, it provided a lot of content for our social media platforms, and it achieved new followers. So we were really proud of that. And the supports, there are huge supports in Ireland for Irish businesses, for startups, for rural businesses. And we were extremely fortunate to leverage the supports of these organisations, and we wouldn't be here today and achieved so much without them. So extremely grateful. And that concludes my presentation. I've listed here my social media platforms if you would like to connect with Glen Keen Estate and Glen Keen Farm. We'd love to hear from you, and I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry about the glitch earlier with the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. That was great. We'll try with Noreen again. Noreen, you're on mute at the minute, so if you can unmute yourself and we can hear if your sound is any better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Perfect. And I'll put you in the driving seat of the presentation if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. Catherine, thanks for stepping in, and my apologies, the joys of technology. Not always easy. I'd say something if I was further away. Okay. Let me kick this off again. Gurmila Magi go udros no geltachtags go Westbic as often Cora ave live Armadin. Sorry about the technical glitch at the outset, but we're back on track, and thank you, Catherine, for stepping in ahead of me. But it has given me a serious amount of excellent food for thought and made me very, very excited to get out and up to Westport and get out past my 5K and out past my county. You have beautiful products there, and I'm always hearing great things. Catherine and I met last, I suppose, maybe about 15 years ago when I was involved in PR for Destination Westport. Now, when Colin contacted me about this event and this webinar, marketing in the digital era and the digital age, I thought back, as I said earlier, practicing my chat up lines this morning in the video when the sound was working. And I was thinking back, I started my career in 1991 with a community tourism development company, Coastal Connemara and the South Connemara Gaeltacht. My first exposure to the marketplace was Holiday World Fair in 1992, representing the region, sharing a stand with Údarás na Gaeltachta and Thursor Connemara agus Oran. Marketing principles, the 4 Ps, and I know they've increased a lot since, was to stand out. We had no budget, we just had a brochure, very much pre-digital age, but my marketing was a sash like a girl from the Rose of Tralee with Coastal Connemara on it, and people would stop me and say, oh, what's that? Our brochures were stuck up on the stand we were sharing with sellotape and blue tack. Not the greatest presentation, but what was the marketing principle is Connemara was so very well known, the brand was very well recognised, and that's point number 1. And there was great connection between Dublin and Connemara. Next door to me at that Holiday World Fair, and we've become friends and clients and business colleagues ever since, was Harvey's Point Hotel. Deirdre McGlone and her then partner, now husband Mark Gisling, who had only recently at that time moved from Switzerland. His English was very poor. Deirdre was rather shy, but what they did have was a beautiful fine dining designed set and stand, and everyone would stop and look at that, then look up and say, Donegal, oh God, might have to go through Northern Ireland. And Donegal was impinged at that stage as a destination, and we all know with the Wild Atlantic Way, again, marketing, that it's been recognised and is now much more popular. But the marketing principle within Harvey's Point, and we've all learned a lot about them over the year, was product development and telling their story and their message. And Deirdre and Mark's story, Swiss Made in Ireland, as part of that messaging, branding across their traditional marketing solutions and their digital and PR. And that has created the brand recognition for Harvey's Point. That's back in the day. I went from there then into sales and marketing manager with Sinnet Hotels, 300 bedrooms across 3 hotels. When I left there in 1997 to set up D'Arcy Marketing and PR, I didn't have a computer at my desk and I didn't have a mobile phone. The principles were your marketing had to generate a sale. And whether we're working in a digital era, which we are, and it's here to stay. And as I recently, as we've all been exposed to digital marketing and digital platforms and technology and driving all of our businesses, has excelled and 10 years in the past 12 months or 14 months since COVID hit. So whether we like it or not, we have to embrace it. We have to become part of it. But the basic principles in terms of marketing and generating sales and the calls to action remain, whether we're traditional, whether we're social, whether we're digital. And that's, I suppose, what I'm going to share in terms of thoughts. And how I'm going to share it this morning is I have a number of slides, but I have a number of clients and case studies, and what I want to do is maybe provoke some thought in the audience that we have here this morning, so that when you go back to your desks, you're reappraising maybe your marketing, not necessarily based on what D'Arcy Marketing and PR is doing with our clients, but what the clients themselves are doing and how we integrate with their marketing departments and with their principals. So Colin, we can move on to another slide and another slide. Okay, currently, and I've shared a video with Colin, and he may share it with all of the audience as a link later. And this is sales as well too, and promotion. Aran Island Ferries, the longest operational and largest ferry company to the Aran Islands year round, will next week in Galway launch a new route from Galway City. There hasn't been a route from Galway City to the Inishmore since 2005, but their unique selling point in terms of their marketing is that the return journey takes in the stunning cliffs of Moher. So this is a whole new product. It is different to their existing product, which is point to point from Russellville to all three of the Aran Islands. This is a cruise along Galway Bay, along the Wild Atlantic Way, to Inishmore, 3 hours on Inishmore, and then you're returning by the cliffs of Moher back into Galway City on what is a tier 4 emissions, green, sustainable ferry, which is so luxurious, leather seating, power points so people can stay connected by each seat row. And the cliffs of Moher added in is giving another shared experience, and it's a new tourism product and a new investment for Galway City. While their Connemara product from Russellville will obviously run as normal. So that's one example in terms of product development, marketing, rebranding, new route, and again, embracing digital, embracing social, embracing traditional sales and marketing, and also enveloping PR into the activity so that all bases are covered. I'm working alongside the marketing department there, and the brief is coverage to create awareness, to generate sales, and ultimately sell tickets. But what we all have to do is work hand in hand to look laterally at the message. What works for traditional marketing, what works for digital marketing, and what works for social. And looking at the assets, looking at the collateral, so that again, we are sharing the love, sharing the message, but ultimately that we are creating as many platforms as possible in traditional marketing terms and in digital marketing terms to get the message out there as widely as possible. Next slide, please, Colin. A smaller business, very tight budget, product based, because I know in our audience this morning, it's not all tourism, it's SMEs across many different sectors. This is Bernie Murphy. And again, her story behind her own business is very, I suppose, emotive, fulfilling. And again, it's dealing with a passion that was in her life and also taking the experience that she gained when working within the brand Fruit of the Loom in Buncrana on the Inishowen Peninsula. And she got a nice redundancy from there, and she decided to apply that into something that she had always been passionate about, which was designing fashion pieces, and also designing based on her home, Donegal Tweed, but also the location that she was in Inishowen as the backdrop and the influence for the colours, for the designs, for the creations. And needless to say, like every other business, she's had to pivot hugely in the last 12 months away from high-end one-off pieces, creative design, and now into the accessories. But her story and her fulfilling story of where she lives, how that has influenced her design, how that has influenced her creativity, is all part of her marketing strategy. It turns out her beautiful daughter also works in fashion with Carrickdown, and she's a senior buyer there. She's now working from home, but she also in her spare time and in her evenings packs boxes on behalf of her mother so that her mother can ship out orders. Again, all part of the marketing messaging, which is going out via social media and digital, and also the profiles and recent coverage that she's achieved in terms of fashion features for her products with with the Irish Independent, with Evoke, with the Daily Mail, and many of the glossy magazines. So my point here in terms of digital marketing in a digital era is, what's your story? What's the background to your product? And how do I apply that digitally, traditionally, to the mailing list and customers that I already have? And then how do I keep our message ongoing in terms of social? And again, that's the strategy that Bernie has had to adopt, as have so many other businesses. Next slide, please, Colin. Wildlands, Galway. It's an adventure park, multi-million investment, 10 minutes outside of the city. It's built, again, like Catherine's business, on a farm, land that was farmed, but the farm was overlooking the beautiful Ballyquirk Lake. The family, the Bohan family, are involved in Delphi Adventure. They're also involved in the beautiful Corrup House and tea rooms in Galway City. But they were always looking at this farm where their dad was and saying, God, we could do something lovely here. We could do something lovely here. And sure enough, they have. And an adventurous family. They were due to open in spring of 2020. COVID hit. They couldn't open, lockdown, but they took the bull by the horns, shall we say, and got up on that zip wire and started zipping away in August after we opened up and embraced the staycation market. Again, the product, quality of product within their marketing, that's been their marketing tool. Repeat customers, people wanting to experience the outdoors, the safety, being out in the outdoors, adventure, letting go of steam from having been locked down. And based on those product principles and the quality of the product, there's been a huge reaction to it, and also their digital and social media. And again, their story of opening in a pandemic, experiencing 2 lockdowns so far, reopening again, and ultimately flying on half-mast, because none of their indoor facilities, which are equally as interesting as the zipwire product that they have, the fairy trails, the grounds, the imagery that surround this wonderful brand, have become part of the marketing and part of the attraction. But ultimately they're marketing themselves on a safe experience. And again, they're a new business, a courageous business. But again, they're pushing forward and dealing with what the pandemic is throwing at them, literally, and responding accordingly. Digital has been hugely important to them. Social has been hugely important to them. Some traditional marketing and also PR in getting the message out there to the market. So they've embraced all that as part of their strategy. Video, imagery, and also the customers telling their own story from the wonderful experiences that they've had on Wildlands on their social media has also added to the engagement online, and creating those platforms within your own marketing experiences is hugely important. And that's how Wildlands have embraced their marketing to date. Next slide, please. Kylemore Abbey. Kylemore Abbey is an iconic brand, as we all know, in Connemara, and it welcomes visitors from across the region, from Mayo, from the Westport Hotels, from Galway City. People come from far and wide, and hugely important to Kylemore Abbey has always been the coach business, the overseas business, and the international business. And prior to lockdown and prior to any talk of any pandemic, we had been working with Kylemore Abbey in advance of their centenary last year, which was cancelled due to the pandemic, but to position them within the domestic market and to look at how they can change their marketing strategy from overseas to envelop and embrace the domestic market and position them there. And as the principles of the marketing and the approach that we took to the marketing, I think is what needs to apply in an awful lot of businesses as we embrace the reopen, as we evolve from the pandemic, and as people are vaccinated, get back on the road, and we look towards a sustainable reopening of our businesses. But the same principles apply, I believe. to all of this. And I'm going to skip through to 2 slides, Colm, if you don't mind, please. And the marketing strategy. Whether we're looking at traditional or whether we're looking at digital, there has to be a strategy. And the strategies need to run in parallel, and they need to be balanced. But they need to be balanced on what the product is about, what the product message is, what its segments is, and what it delivers right now and in the immediate to short-term future and looking ahead, obviously long-term. But we're we're still somewhat in reactive mode, depending on the sectors that you're in. But it's all about traditional and digital, and they need to run in parallel, as I've said, with one another. And both teams need to work together. Teams need to communicate openly. But again, it's about the product message, and also the sources of your customer base. So where is your customer coming from? What percentage is being derived from your digital platforms and been generated, and what percentage is coming from traditional marketing platforms? And based on that, your strategy evolved and is developed. We'll move to another slide, Colm, please. Traditional needs to support your digital and vice versa. And we need to think laterally. And we'll move to the next slide now, please, Colm. And the key to this is with the product producers, with the team, and with the marketing department, that everybody discusses and delves. And the experience that we found and where we grew business within Kilmore Abbey, for example, was the discussions that we had with the team, with the promoters, with the people behind the scenes, with the key heads of department and with the marketing department. It was, what is the product? What is the product? And what can we delve? What can we, I suppose, pull back on? What can we tear apart and rebuild and reimagine for the customer segments that we're trying to focus on? And we grew the business 25% by creating new experiences based on the new markets of what they wanted, which was in Kilmore Abbey's case, the domestic market, and in all of our cases from a tourism perspective, it's domestic. In the case of the Bernie Murphys and food producers, etc., is your product going overseas? Is it going further afield? And where is your business coming from? And what certain businesses that are product producers are finding that pulling at the heartstrings of the Donegal diaspora, the Connemara diaspora, the Midlands, etc., people living away from home, they want an experience maybe of a food product that's made at home in America or in the UK. So your digital and your social platforms are delivering on that. And in the case of tourism, we're focusing on the staycation market. We're focusing on what that can develop for us and what can it deliver in terms of customers. So what are the messages? But we must stay alive, as Catherine has shown, within our overseas markets. And that's where the video, the collateral and the imagery of what the core ethos of the product is, and what the product segments are that can pull at the heartstrings and how they can translate into digital tactical campaigns. Next slide, please. Okay, we're looking at, again, what is your brand and what is your business? Look at your product, look at the service, look at the definition that's there. What's your location? How can that impact on your marketing message? Again, we're very fortunate in the west of Ireland to live along the Wild Atlantic Way, to live in beautiful scenic, in terms of tourism, in beautiful scenic locations, in terms of your imagery, your collateral and your video, all of which will deliver the messages directly to your customers. How are they segmented? Working with professionals that can create the video, segment them, the messaging, how that can translate. And again, who is the promoter of your business and what is their story to tell? And how can that support the brand and the product? All of that delivers digitally. And then how can that be profiled in terms of, you know, your brochure, your collateral, what the customer experience is when the customer arrives, in the messaging of the actual physical product, and then also in the translation of what your PR is. Who are the team? How can they be part of that? We had experiences with, for example, Kilmore Abbey, their head chef. A conversation with him one day delivered that he was actually an organic Dexter farmer. He farmed on Omni Island, but he actually sold the the cattle when they were slaughtered, and the meat back into Kilmorabby, which he then cooked. That was a story that delivered really, really well on social, on digital, and also in terms of PR, and also in terms of the merchandising of the product, and again, how they developed further products for sales lines within their online shop as we evolved and became more, I suppose, involved in digital and developing sales streams and revenue streams for our business. So again, we need to look at that within our own SMEs, within our businesses. You know, is there a story within that I've missed that can actually help profile a member of the team, give them confidence, support the marketing digitally and socially? And then what are the resources within our businesses that again can support the marketing digitally and socially, and again in a traditional way? The next slide, please, Colm. Again, look into the future. Who's our market? Who's our market right now in the next 3 to 6 months? And who's our market in 2022? Are we building our strategies digitally and traditionally to meet the demands? And again, bearing in mind that safety in terms of our product delivery, safety in terms of our product production is very much important, and reassurance of our customer, and that needs to come across in terms of our marketing communications digitally, socially, and again it's varying the messages so that the same message is getting out across a number of different platforms, but in different ways across what our website delivers, what our newsletters delivers, what our communication pieces with our customers deliver, and then what the entertainment is in terms of social media as well. What are the market requirements? What are they looking for when we analyze who our searchers are online and who are our bookers online and who are our buyers online? What is driving them? And analyzing those figures and then creating the digital marketing solutions to meet that, to keep sales streams and revenue coming into your business. And what are the communication channels within the business? And then externally to your customers, but also to the broader market base and also to the media so that they pick up on your story. What are they? How are you developing those? And are you paying attention to them? And is your messaging clear, succinct, and is it driving the right engagement to your business? Next slide, Colm, please. And you can keep an eye on time because people that know me have a tendency to know that I can talk a lot. What is your story? And that is the key behind digital and behind social media. And Catherine alluded to that in terms of the sheep, in terms of the scenery, in terms of the history that's associated with her estate, in terms of the story of herself, her husband, her children, what they deliver, in terms of the animals, the sheep, the dogs, all of that. But how do we break down that story? And rather than sharing everything across all 3 platforms in terms of social media, what works for Facebook? What works for the quick turnaround in terms of Twitter? What works in terms of TikTok? What works and the fun side of it? And then what works in terms of Instagram? And then where are your videos found on your website? What are your e-signs and your stories, and how are you evolving as a better maybe delivery of blogs, of blogging, pulling at the heartstrings, and then the e-signs that you're sending out? Are they advertising led or are they story led? And it's creating that mix. What's relevant and what's currently relevant to your business, but to your market segment? What is your customer buying? What do they want to hear? What will create a sales stream? Because at the end of the day, marketing, PR, social, it has to be driving traffic to book, to call, to email, to place orders. So what is working, but what does your customer want to hear? And then what are the traditional elements? Like next week, for example, to the ferry being launched, we're looking at both traditional, we're looking at the people that have been loyal to Aran Island ferries over the last 30-something years. We're also looking at the media that are being traditional. Do we do a media drop? Is that based on the actual ferry? Is it based on what is the overall experience? It's the Aran Islands, the Cliffs of Moher now, and the ferry. So it's a combination of all. So how do we get all of those messages out about traditionally and digitally. And I think a good example recently I saw was Ashford Castle, and I think they may be here this morning, with their beautiful, stunning, too delicious to eat, handmade, hand-painted chocolate Easter eggs, and again their concierge and their wonderful team delivering those to media like Lucinda O'Sullivan, who again created a story, the hashtag back onto her social media channels endorsing that. That was clever, that was smart, and again it resonated with core value in terms of high-end innovation, and also linked back to the beautiful food experience that is Ashford Castle, but also linking it to their media, and the media telling their story on their behalf. That's the way we need to be thinking, regardless of the size of our business. And it's boxing clever to use the resources that we have to tell our story on a limited budget. And it's how can we create something that's digitally explosive and can trend, be on trend. So what is working? Looking at our competitors, looking at bigger brands, but actually what can I pull on our own heartstrings from our own products to keep our presence alive digitally? Next slide, please.
Yeah, and Noreen, just let you know we're going on 5 to 11.
Okay, lovely, and I'll just have we another slide there. Again, I suppose examples that resonated with me, I've given the Ashford Castle Easter eggs. The lovely little Oris Ina on Inisheer, a tiny little art centre on a beautiful island in the Aran Islands. Last year in lockdown, when we were in serious lockdown at the beginning, I thought they were very, very clever in terms of working with their supporters and working with high profile artists like Lima Wendy from the Hothouse Flowers and many others to deliver wonderful live concerts that could be streamed into our own homes while we sat and pondered, what is this all about? But it has pulled at the heartstrings, well, for me and I know for others, to say I'm going to Inisheer and I'm actually going to visit Orisena, or I'm actually going to make a donation to that arts centre which has no budget. And again, they looked at their resources, they looked at their friends, and they delivered a virtual experience using FaceTime, using their website, using Instagram Live, and big brands to work in terms of, to work in terms of getting their message across. Can we do the same in this audience this morning? The other thing, I suppose, it's close to my heart, I'm a Gaeilgeoir, was the TG Carr intern campaign on Twitter. Nobody knows who the intern is, but again, it got everybody talking. And the other thing it got was, again, a bit of loyalty, a bit of sexiness, a bit of fun to the Irish language. And again, that was digital marketing, social media marketing at its best. And again, they were punching above their weight in an audience and a market segment that's much smaller than, for example, Netflix or RTE. But the growth that they had from a little clever campaign, the TG Carr intern, who is he? Ask Gaeilge, and the amount of people that engaged that would never have engaged with Gaeilge was hugely impressive. And again, it's creating fun initiatives with our products so that, again, we're keeping our presence and our market aware of us. So I think the key message for me this morning, from me this morning, is digital is here. It's where people are sourcing their information, but the traditions of marketing need to apply in terms of our messaging, but looking at our product, standards in terms of our products, safety, quality, what we deliver, sharing those experiences and training our teams to deliver the best quality imagery, best quality video, best quality messaging, and immersing that into our tactical marketing campaigns and linking that to some of the traditions in terms of selling when we go back out into the marketplace and how we engage in the marketplace. I hope I've delivered a few nuggets and a few thought processes there this morning for you all to bring back to your businesses and your marketing teams. Agus gurmagi agus rish bronorm fuine na fibini technical amity being more dinosaur. I can be a technical dinosaur. Maybe I'm showing my era too long in the business. Thank you all very much, and every success for the months that are ahead of us.
Thanks, Noreen, and thanks, Catherine. If anyone has any questions, we can take some questions maybe for the next 5-10 minutes. You can put it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. Yeah, I have a question here. I think it's probably for you, Catherine. It's from Maya. Do you see a role for virtual experiences post-COVID?
Yes, I do. I think, you know, we've certainly delved into the virtual world and embraced it in a huge way. And I think in our case, and I can only speak for my own business, but we're continuing the virtual experiences for our tour operators, because it's a sales tool that enables the seller to promote an experience, to give snippets, and to really raise the awareness of a region or an experience. So yes, I do think it's important. Thank you.
And I have one in here also for you, Noreen. Noreen, have you noticed more companies leveraging green or sustainable practices in their marketing strategies? And is it something you would look for when working with a company and look to highlight it?
Yes, yes. Again, sustainability is very important. And I think what lockdown, COVID has done to all of us is to look at our lifestyle and what we want from life, and the sustainable aspect of our products, of our businesses, are very much to the fore, need to be part of the product, need to be part of our messaging and part of our marketing strategy. And again, Aran Island Ferries, as an example, when they were ordering this fabulous new 400-seater passenger ferry from Hong Kong, and I think COVID delayed it, and maybe had the order gone in earlier, they might, or later, they might have stopped the idea. But one of the key fundamentals for them was the whole Tier 4 emissions aspect, and there is no ferry that is more sustainable in any aspect of Irish waters, and especially to any of the islands, and that is hugely important for them for travelling back and forth on Galway Bay.
Yeah, and Noreen, I assume they will sort of continue to highlight that in their marketing strategy also, that they are in fact.
Very much so, and again, I suppose we've all looked at what, if we look at what's happened in the last 12 or 15 months, we've gone digital, we've gone virtual. There's a certain element of that that is going to remain, and Catherine is continuing with her virtual tour experiences, and I think that will become a product in itself, and that in itself also contributes to the whole sustainability message. We all want footfall, we all want businesses, we all want customers, people want human engagement. There's an element of that that will stay, and it will also contribute to the sustainability of businesses as well.
All right, thank you. So I don't think there's any more questions. I have one from here from Garagine. What would you suggest as an approximate cost of setting up a website with an e-shop with a payment facility? Also, what should be included besides the photos, product, information delivery, and it's a garden centre online business, or any other advice for starting out? I'm not sure who that's for. Maybe whoever can answer it.
Well, sorry, Catherine, not to go before you, but as you said earlier, there are huge supports out there now to develop your digital strategy and develop your digital platforms, from your local Leo or your local Udros. And again, there's an element of how long is a piece of string. But again, you need to price around in terms, be clear on what your brief is, be clear on what you want from from your website. But again, you can get a lot now for, you know, a spend of 2.5 to 3 grand. So you can, with supports from Leo's as well, to get, to achieve what's been outlined there, you know.
And Catherine, were you going to say something?
Yes, just to echo what Noreen said, around 2,500 will get you a decent e-commerce site. And I think in terms of the gardening centre, it's endless what they can do. Video blogging now is really popular. So gardening tips and that, they can have regular blogs on their website. So yeah, I think they should definitely contact Ross or the Leo office. Massive supports for it and training.
Have a look at again, I'll go back, a different product, but Kilmore Abbey have a very good garden blog, but also there's many different garden centres that are doing lovely snippet videos in terms of, you know, planting. You could do a lot with schools, you know, bringing in little children to be involved, socially distance in, you know, creating, you know, spring for autumn harvesting. There's so much that you could do digitally that's beautiful for a garden centre.
Thanks. I don't see any more questions, so I think we'll call it a day at that. So thanks again, Catherine and Noreen, and thanks for everybody else for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye. Slán go fóill.
Slán.
On. Bye bye.